I'm not playing.
Okay. Brunella, kill the sister.
No! God damn it! Don't hurt her! Can't believe you dragged me into this shit.
It's exciting. Well, exciting for me. It's terrifying for you.
Ready or Not 2, Here I Come is a brand new horror film that hit theaters this past weekend. The movie is directed by both Matt Olpin and Tyler Gillette, the director group known as Radio Silence. Of course, this same director group directed the first Ready or Not film back in 2019, and that movie starred Samara Weaving as a bride on her wedding night who had to play a very deadly game of hide and seek with her new in-laws, a game where she had to stay hidden, had to stay alive till the next morning, but her in-laws, if they found her, well, they could kill her. And along with the bloody violence that came with that movie, it also had a fun supernatural twist to it. I enjoyed that movie so much, and I thought at the time that it was a one-and-done film, that we would never get a sequel. Of course, Matt Olpin and Tyler Gillette went to work on the Scream series, but when they broke away from that, well, they started working on Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And so I was very excited to check this movie out on opening weekend, and it did not disappoint. I had so much fun with this movie. Let's do the review for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
Here we go.
That is one big pile of shit.
No, I shot him. Bullets in the fall killed him.
So Ready or Not 2, Here I Come once again brings back Samara Weaving as the character of Grace, the bride that survived through the very horrific events from that first film. And this film picks up immediately after the first film. Well, it's actually like the moment she sits down, lights the cigarettes, they ask her what happened, and she says, in-laws. Like, all of that is at the very beginning of this film. So it is a direct continuation from that 2019 film. She, at that point, collapses because of the events from the night before, gets taken to the hospital where her little sister is her emergency contact, and her little sister's name is Faith, played by Kathryn Newton. It was so cool seeing Kathryn Newton come into this franchise. She pops up in horror franchises, and I feel like she makes them better, so it was cool to have both Samara Weaving and Kathryn Newton in this horror franchise together. And once the sisters are reunited, you find out that they had a bit of a falling out. They haven't talked to each other for a while, so when Grace gives this crazy story of the events of that first film to not only her sister Faith, but also to the police officers, well, nobody believes her. Well, that is until these new families rise up, families that were connected to the original family from the first film, and they are going to finish that game of hide and seek. But surviving the night this time around doesn't just mean you get to live to see the next day. No, this time around, the incentive is that if you live to see the next day, well, then you will control the world. And that is the best synopsis that I can give you for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. If that sounds like a fun time, well, you should definitely go check this movie out in theaters. I had such a fun time watching this on a big screen. Now, I am going to get into my positives and my negatives for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come here in a second, but before I do that, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button, check out all the different content that I have, whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or even ranked list videos. I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And it's a really long title, by the way. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
My first positive for this movie has to be how quickly they were able to unravel this new concept for this new film and get you, the viewer, to buy in. Not all the concepts work for me. We're going to get into some of that in my negatives, but just the idea that they went from a very contained story about a bride running for her life, trying to protect herself on her wedding night, to this grander scope of a movie where you've got all of these different families, how each of them fit into this story, and how all of them are now coming for this bride, how all of them want to kill her because all of them want this ultimate power. And it's a lot of story to cram into the first 30 minutes of the movie, but I felt like they were able to weave the story so well in the first 30 minutes that after they got through all of the heavy explanation, all of the heavy exposition, I was able to understand where they were going with this film very easily, and so I had to put that in my positives. Adding on to the way that they were able to build this story would be the pace of this film, and I think those go hand in hand, so that's why I put them back to back. I feel like the pace of this movie grabs you at the very beginning. They go through all of this detail, all of this exposition, but you're locked in because of the pace of this film. Like, it is just go from the very first moments. You see Samara Weaving's Grace character walk out of the house, sit down on the step, light a cigarette, pass out, and immediately get transported to the hospital, and then from the hospital back into the arms of these evil people, this cult of individuals who think they can run the entire world. And I don't feel like that pace ever lets up in this film. It is just go, 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 and you've got these two girls fighting for their lives until the very last moments of the movie. Now, much like the first movie, this is an action slasher survival horror film with a supernatural edge to it, but I feel like it takes all of those elements and it does the job of a sequel, and it raises them to the next level. I think the action scenes are more intense this time around. Of course, the survival aspect is raised because you've got two people that you're hoping make it through the night. Both of these sisters are incredibly likable. Both Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton do a great job with their characters, and so you want both of them to survive, but that raises the stakes because, yeah, one of them might make it, but will both of them make it? Then you've got the slasher, blood, and gore aspect of this movie, which again raises to the next level because you've got two people that you're rooting for. You've got two people fighting off these families. And yes, I said families. In the first movie, you had one family all going after this bride, but now you've got four families in this film all coming after both of these two girls. So that blood, that violence, that action, it's all raised to the next level. So again, it has all of those elements from the first movie, but my positive is that it takes those elements and raises them to the next level. And for my final positive in this movie, while it is gory, while it is bloody, while there's a survival aspect to it and a lot of edge of your seat moments, it's also very funny. Much like the first film, these directors are able to pepper in humor into these films that really shouldn't be funny situations, but they're able to pepper in this humor that really helps you, the viewer, get through the content of this film. Because if it was just this really violent movie with these really evil families coming after these girls, you would feel so bad for them, you might be on the edge of your seat, but there would never be this moment of levity for you, the viewer. But again, these directors are able to pepper in this humor that really works for you, the viewer. And one of the funniest moments in this movie for me personally had to be a moment between Samara Weaving and another girl, a girl that was once engaged to the girl that Samara Weaving's character married in the first movie. Well, she is there for her pound of flesh. They end up fighting in a ballroom area with the song Turn Around accidentally playing in the background, and it is a really funny moment. I mean, there's action in that scene, there's violence in that scene, but at one point, and I won't spoil too much here, but at one point they both pepper spray each other in the eyes, and they're both blind, and so they're just swinging at each other, but they can't find each other. They're jumping onto tables with presents and gifts on them for a different wedding that was supposed to take place there, but they can't find each other, and it just made me laugh out loud in the theater. And there's moments like that throughout this entire movie, but I never felt like it got too goofy. I never felt like they were playing it for too much of a laugh. It was just these very serious moments that, again, these directors could put little moments of levity in for you, the viewer, and that really worked for me. That'll do it for my positives. Let's move over to my negatives. And my first negative for this movie is that they are a little heavy-handed when it comes to the relationship problems that both Grace and Faith are having with each other. Of course, Faith, played by Catherine Newton, was not in the first film. She wasn't even at the wedding, and so they have to build this story about how the two of them fell apart from each other, how they don't talk to each other anymore, and then they keep revisiting that throughout the film. Now, had they just set that up at the beginning, and then they're like, okay, but we are sisters, let's survive the night, cool. But I felt like the movie took too much time going back to their relationship throughout the film and trying to work out their differences while all of this other chaos was going on. It never got to the point where it completely pulled me out of the movie. I was still invested the entire time, but by the third or fourth fight that they were having with each other about how they weren't there for each other, I was like, all right, guys, we've done this enough throughout this film. Let's just move on to the next next thing. But they kept going back to that to try and break down that relationship so they could build it back up in the end. And don't get me wrong, they do find a way to build that relationship back up for the two of them, and you, the viewer, are on board. But yeah, I felt like they were a little too heavy-handed with the whole narrative of, I don't know if I trust you, I don't know if I should be with you, I don't know if I should protect you, you should just go away. And they keep going back to that a little too much, in my opinion. That'll move me on to my other negative in this movie, and that is that while I appreciate them trying to expand the lore, expand the universe in this sequel, something that a good sequel will at least attempt to do, I did feel like the expansion became a bit too far-fetched. For instance, in the first movie you had survive the night, and there was a supernatural twist to the ending of the film. I liked that a lot. In this movie, it's survive the night, a supernatural twist. Oh, and by the way, if you survive the night, you get to control the world because the devil is letting you do that. And it was just a little bit too much. It was like, all right, you're doing too much here, whereas the first movie kept it a bit contained. I understand we want to build out the universe, we want to build out the storyline, but when the stakes of this movie are controlling the world, where do you go with that in the future? If they want to make a third Ready or Not film, which I hope they do, because this movie was a lot of fun, and I feel like these directors could come up with something, but the problem they're going to run into is you just put the stakes at surviving the night in the first movie, controlling the world in the second movie. I mean, how do you expand from that? And so again, while I can appreciate what they were trying to do, how they were trying to expand the universe, I felt like they expanded a bit too far, and it's a bit too far-fetched. Same issue I had with Smile 2. I liked that they tried to expand the universe at the end of the film, but then having all of those people see the Smile Demon at the end just felt a bit too far-fetched. And that's how this movie felt in the closing moments. It was like, all right, there's too much going on here. We just have the devil allowing you to control the world because you survived the night. Even with those negatives, overall I still had a great time with Ready or Not 2. I am looking forward to the next time I get a chance to see this film. I thought there was enough new stuff added into this film that made it worthy of being a sequel, whether that was adding Catherine Newton as a little sister, or adding in Sarah Michelle Gellar as one of the evil family members, even adding Elijah Wood as the lawyer throughout this film. He's got a few moments in this movie that'll make you laugh. So they did a great job all around at adding in new elements, raising things to the next level, that even though that story expansion didn't really work for me, or I felt like they were a bit too heavy-handed with the sister storyline, I still felt like I had a great time with this movie, and it's one that I would highly recommend to everyone that A, loved the first movie, and B, is just a fan of horror films. I think there's enough in there for you to enjoy. But as always, guys, those are just my opinions because that's my review for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Have you guys had a chance to see this film yet? If you have, let me know in that comment section down below. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, where we agree, where we disagree. This is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I'm very curious if it's one of yours. And finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, we got to the end of my Ready or Not 2, Here I Come review, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it. Sorry about the hotel background. I wish I could have shot this when I was at home, but you gotta record when you have the time, and so here I am in another hotel. But that said, if you like this video and you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got all of my horror movie reviews right there, and I've got all of my 2026 movie reviews right there.